President Donald Trump is already laying the groundwork for an excuse if he fails to win re-election. Now, he's going to claim that the election was rigged against him and that mail-in voting is the cause of it being rigged against him. In fact, in a series of tweets, he lays out his nonsensical argument. Here's the first one. This will be the election disaster of our time. And this, in that tweet, he cites an article from Breitbart. Remember Breitbart? Yeah. So now Breitbart had an article that featured comments from Attorney General William Barr. So William Barr was on Fox News on Sunday, and he said that voting by mail would open the floodgates to fraud. Specifically, and this is the first time I've seen this part of this argument, right? Because, look, Republicans have already been arguing, oh, mail-in voting, so much fraud, right? This time, they go xenophobic on it, right? And they say that a foreign country, like, for example, China, could print up tens of thousands of counterfeit ballots, and it would be difficult to figure out which ballots were valid. So that's our Attorney General coming up with this conspiracy theory that another country will try to help steal the election. Of all the projection in the world, I mean, seriously. All right, complete and utter garbage, right? No evidence of that. Barr hasn't provided evidence. The administration hasn't provided evidence. I mean, come on, guys. You're literally in control of the government. William Barr, you're running the Justice Department, right? You guys are in the government. You could go and get the evidence and present it to the American people and say, look, there's a serious issue with mail-in ballots right now. You know why they can't do that? Oh, right. It's because they have no evidence. It's just more BS propaganda. It's more like nativist rhetoric to try to fearmonger about other countries and, more importantly, fearmonger about voting by mail because they don't want people to vote by mail. So now there's that, right? And so, of course, multiple states pushed back against that and said, hey, whoa, that would be virtually impossible for something like that to happen and not get caught. And so, again, that's not going to stop people who believe in conspiracy theories like Donald Trump, who think, well, the states, they're all against me, so they're just going to let China print up ballots, and they're going to be fake ballots, and then I'm going to lose. But I didn't actually lose because I'm not a loser. I'm a winner. And that's what it's all about. All right. So gets me to Trump's second tweet here. He says, rigged 2020 election, all caps, by the way. Millions of mail-in ballots will be printed by foreign countries and others. It will be the scandal of our times. Oh my God, look at this terrible thing that somebody just made up to distract you from my corrupt administration, coronavirus, failing economy, and protests against police violence. Scandal of our times. Scandal. All I have to do is just scream it. And of course, the sheep over, his followers are going to be like, oh my God, yes, mail-in ballots, so terrible. You know who else has used mail-in ballots? Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, I believe Jared Kushner, and Kayleigh McEnany, as well as others. They've all used mail-in absentee ballots, and they had no problem. Complete and utter hypocrisy. All right, so again, aside from the projection here of these tweets, including one that called for the end of the stupidity of mail-in ballots, again, that he has actually used, and also saying that Democrats were using COVID-19, the coronavirus, in order to cheat by promoting mail-in ballots. So aside from that ridiculous projection, which is hilarious, because not only is he one of the dumbest people in America who lies and cheats, I mean, look, the mail-in ballots, the whole thing is hypocrisy. Again, he's used them before. He'd use them again if they're convenient. And so why is it okay for him and not for the American people? Oh, right, because whatever benefits Donald Trump is good. Whatever hurts Donald Trump potentially is bad. And that's what that is, right? And so, look, there's a pandemic out there. No matter how much MAGA guys are going to want to stick their fingers in their ears or in other places and hum really loudly whenever somebody says it. Whenever somebody talks about the new infection totals that are coming out in states that have opened up too early, it's here. Cases have not dropped like they had in other countries. Other countries have like a curve and then it goes back down, right? We just went up and then went like this. We're plateaued, okay? We're continuing to get over 1,000 a day. And so we're holding steady. And so experts are saying, like, well, we can't really have a second wave because, I mean, we're not done with the first one, but then it's going to get worse when it comes to the fall. And so, look, I was wrong. I said second wave is coming. It's here. It turns out, no, never. It didn't come because that's just still part of the first wave. Never ended. And because of that, of course, you had several states that actually expanded their mail-in voting. But unfortunately, the side effect of that to Republicans, and I say that from a Republican perspective, unfortunately, right? For them, that just equals more democracy. And we can't have more democracy. Very bad. Not good. Very bad. We don't want democracy. We don't want people voting. And look, it's not just Donald Trump. Republicans have been running in that playbook for decades. Suppress the vote, right? Block people from voting, especially black people, minorities, students, anybody who could potentially vote for Democrats, anyone who's not a white Christian or wealthy person, right? Those are the people they don't want voting because everyone else, like, they don't want, they actually do want white Christians, in case you're confused. They want the white Christian voter, wealthy people. Those are the only ones they want to vote. Everybody else, no, if you're going to vote for Democrats, then I want to stop you. And I want to actually stop you from making voting easier. See, my base, and I'm talking as a Republican, their base doesn't believe in the science. They don't care about coronavirus. They'll come out and vote. They'll turn out in droves anyway, right? Maybe not this time because you get a real lack of enthusiasm from the Republican side. But, they still are going to turn out. There's still a hardcore MAGA base out there that is much smaller than everyone else. But they're much more dedicated and they get out to the polls. Doesn't matter if you have coronavirus. It doesn't matter about any of that. And so they're going to show up. For everyone else who is concerned, well, we want to expand voting by mail so that you can vote safely and not have to sit in person, not have to wait in these gigantic lines, as we've seen in places like Georgia and other states that have Wisconsin, for example, that didn't do mail-in ballots or absentee ballots or anything like that. And so, the administration wants to end that and it wants to end mail-in ballots and make sure that people have to go and wait in person and expose themselves to the danger, maybe because they figure that Democrats won't because we're worried about COVID-19. And so, look, it's voter suppression. That's what this is, right? It's voter suppression. And so now poor communities where people have traditionally waited in line for hours, right? You have situations where now polling places have been cut even more. And so what happened to be, 2-hour waits are not going to turn into 6 to 8 hour waits for people to go and vote. And this is amid coronavirus. And so that's what Republicans are trying to do. They're trying to do that. They actually did that in Kentucky. And so the thing is, if you don't need a voting place or a polling place if you can vote by mail. And so that's why Republicans want to shut it down so that they can continue to steal elections. And so that's why, even though they use vote by mail, these Republicans are still going to war against it. It's hypocrisy. If most of the country has a choice, they will vote by mail. It is easier, and it actually is safer from tampering. has a lower fraud rate than other ways of voting, and that's what they're scared of. They're scared of more voting. They don't want more voting. Going back, of course, to the Paul Weyrich, godfather of the modern conservative movement. He warned about the Goo syndrome, good government, right? And he says that more people voting makes sure that Republicans have a harder time of getting elected and reelected. And so, I mean, that's it. That's the playbook. Voter suppression, shutting down of polling places, as well as ending mail-in ballots, which, by the way, about a quarter of a country of the country actually votes by mail already. And so in a lot of states actually do have the ability to vote by mail. It's just now, because of coronavirus, it's becoming even more of a better way to vote. And so that's why, again, Republicans are against it. Donald Trump's against it because he really is afraid of losing his reelection. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.